my legs down. But jumping rope is a lot shorter. It helped my knees a lot better. Can you go into just a little bit more in depth? What are the 3 stages when it comes to your jump rope program?
Well, one of the things I like to say is that it's functional. This training technique transfers over to what boxers and what every sport needs. Advantages in speed, quickness, agility, explosive power, conditioning. And I think for most boxers, when it comes to their coaches, the coaches just tell them, just start jumping. They don't really give them much instructions about, mechanics. So what I did as an Olympic athlete, I was at the Olympic Training Center. I started studying other sports, boxing, swimmers, and started studying their movements. And then in between my training sessions, I would go into the library and start researching the science behind just exercise, and the exercise of jump rope. So I researched everything that existed in the world for jump rope. So I learned about the mechanics, about how it affected the cardiovascular system, certain types of movement, and then jump rope and its application to other sport. How should a basketball player jump rope to enhance his athletic performance, his vertical leap, like a Michael Jordan or somebody, or his agility? How should a wrestler jump rope to give him the competitive advantage? So by studying the science behind jumping, I learned the application of it to every sport. So what I did was develop a 3-step system, because most people have a hard time learning the skill, because jumping is not easy. You can't just pick up a rope and start jumping, as most boxers would attest to. So I created a system that would break it down and allow people to have success every step of the way, so they wouldn't get discouraged. It's the same thing with exercise. How do you keep people motivated to exercise? Well, you can't do too much too soon. So in my system, I talk about the mechanics, where the head position should be, arm position should be, where your torso should be, where your feet position should be, how you hold the rope, how you turn the rope, how you breathe, how you relax, and then most importantly, how you coordinate the rope swing for the perfect jump. So in my system, there's a base phase, conditioning phase, and sports training phase. In the base phase, you learn the mechanics. You learn how to become proficient. You learn how to, master 140 jumps to about 500 jumps. In the conditioning phase, from proficiency, you learn how to build endurance so you can develop a capacity to sustain this exercise. And then in the sports training phase, you learn how to increase the intensity and learn other movements that transfers over to better athletic performance. So it's a base, conditioning, and sports training phase.
Okay. For those of you that think I'm just messing around, you can see I got my certificate right here. Look at that. Look at that. I ain't messing around. Look at that certificate. And look, I got the book too. Go out and get it. Go out and support my brother. I'm telling you, man. Hey, if you weren't at the Olympic Training Center from like during my time from like 94 to 2000, and you ain't go up there and you didn't see this brother in the ring, he was putting on demonstrations, man. You was the first cat that I ever seen that jump on his butt, man. I never knew how you did that. When you used to swing the rope around and you be on your butt, laying on your back.
That was my trademark. I did that for Muhammad Ali. I remember USA Boxing flew me in to do the Muhammad Ali Classic in Louisville, Kentucky. That's when I met the Mike Tyson, everybody there. And I did a performance for Muhammad Ali in about 27 countries. And that was my introduction to the boxing world. But sometimes you got to do something a little creative to get people's attention. But when it comes to, conditioning and stuff like that, it's just basic movements. And it's about, jumping the way you want to fight.
Got you. Well, buddy, hey, I thank you for your time. I don't want to hold you up too long. I know you're in Latvia and it's, I know you have family over there, but I really appreciate the time. Everything will be down in the bottom of the link if you want to follow Buddy Lee And if you want to tune into him, and also, you know, if you do want to buy gear from him, I do have a coupon code, so you can use Stokes, Stokes, Stokes. I'm gonna plug myself in, and therefore you can go ahead and buy one of his ropes. All right. But
yeah, let me finish. Let me say something at the end. I just want to say, coaches, I just want to commend you guys for, you know, making the transition into impacting young people's lives, because, you know, it's more than boxing that you guys are teaching. You're teaching these people about themselves, how to believe in themselves, how to practice, how to be patient. And if they want to be good at anything in life, they have to never, ever give up. So this COVID-19 doesn't stop you from doing that. All it does, it allows you to adapt, find another way to impact people's lives. That's why we're humans, because we've been around for so long, because we've learned to adapt. And that's what this COVID-19 is making us do. It's making us start thinking more, start understanding all the things that we've taken for granted. And but as long as you have your health and strength, nobody can stop you. God bless.
Amen to that. Hey, big brother, I really appreciate it, man. And I'm gonna say start adapting, because that's what I believe this really is now, man. It's adapting. I really believe things are not gonna be the same, and we're just gonna have to adapt and overcome. So with that being said, buddy, you know, Godspeed to you and family, man. And I will talk to you this week, brother.
Okay, thank you. Direct message me, anybody.
I will.
Buddy Lee Jump Ropes.
All right. Thank you. Hey, let me talk to my man, Big James Terry. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good. James, how have you been adapting since this outbreak?
Well, it's interesting. I actually had a fight, as you probably know. I had a fight scheduled May 9th. So I came into this in the middle of, you know, fight camp. Yeah, I mean, I kind of stayed the course for the first. I mean, I stayed the course until they shut me down. They called me 2 weeks into the pandemic and basically said, hey, you know, the fight's not going on, which was kind of to be expected anyway. But as a fighter, you got to stay in camp because your life's on the line, right? So I was on a diet and just kind of solo training. Luckily, my wife and my brother-in-law, who's staying with us currently, you know, they've had quite a bit of training, so they were holding mitts and Thai pads for me and you know, running with me and stuff. But yeah, it was an interesting first 2 weeks that I had for sure.
Yeah, and also you're not just a fighter, but you're a teacher as well. So how has it been for your students?
Well, you know what, we're actually pretty lucky at Gorilla. Gorilla Jiu-Jitsu is the gym that I manage. I'm a partner at in Pleasanton. We have another gym in San Jose, and we have this online platform already set up, kind of like a subscription-based YouTube, you could say, where we had a bunch of tutorials and instructionals on there. We had free rolling on there too, just kind of, you know, letting people check out the talent in the gym, you could say. So we just kind of like we basically gave all of our members free access to that. Usually it's $15 a month. We just gave it to them for free. And then we started coming out with once a week curriculum, essentially writing out exactly the positions that we're going to be going over, doing the videos or pulling videos from the already huge repertoire or a huge inventory that we had. So luckily we had that online, the online thing in already and up and running. So we just kind of picked up where we already were on that, just kind of upped it and let everybody know, gave them access to it. But we started doing Zoom classes too. So
Outstanding.
It's been fun. I've been running the 3 to 5 year old super gorillas, we call them, 3 times a week. And my daughter Zoe, you guys might have seen her. She came in here a second ago. She's a gray belt, so she's been helping me out with that. And
Good.
love watching other kids. So you know they've been digging it. It's gone about as well as I thought it could have gone. So
good. You know, and I think that's something that people are going to gear more to in the future. It's going to be online, man, on a lot of online stuff, because you got a lot of people that's going to be kind of I don't want to say PTSD after this, but they're not going to go out in public, man. They're not.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be
yes,
hard.
Sir.
Yep. Coach Hamza, how has it been in Philadelphia?
Hold on, can you hear me now?
I can, brother.
Yeah. And it's different. Some gyms there are some gyms that, I feel like aren't being as responsible as they could, that, they still rolling.
Yo, I'm sorry. Can you explain what do you mean by that still rolling? They're still open?
Yeah, they still open. It's still a few gyms I saw. There was a lot of people still in the gym. The gyms I associate with, they pretty much closed down. Sometimes we have it to where as though, we've made like some appointment times for like a certain team. If I have 3 guys, then they'll set aside a time that we could come in, we'll be able to keep the, what they call the social distancing. So It's just be 3 or 4 guys at a time in the gym. So I think that's what most gyms are doing. Okay. There's a lot of gyms in Philly, and there's a lot of them are shut down. So I just train my guys, and they're all pros right now. So I'm not really, I don't have a burden of, managing a whole gym, or like the other brother was saying, he's running the Zoom classes and he's got the young kids and all that kind of stuff. I don't have that burden, so I just train my guys. So I had a few fights scheduled in April. Of course, they all get pushed back, but I don't. It's not as bad because all the boxing is pushed back. If it was just, if your guy got injured or something like that, and and he's sitting still while the game is still moving, then that would be a bigger issue. But my guys, we keeping some strength conditioning going, keeping them running. Other than that, some of these professionals, they could use the time off.
Coach, I'm glad you said that. I want to go ahead and chime in, but being that you said some fighters gonna need the time off, that brings to my mind Deontay Wilder.
Right.
I did not want to see him get in that fight right after, automatically. I didn't want to see. I wanted him to take some time off, at least a year, if not.
Right.
Do you think this is a perfect time for him to rest?
For sure. I didn't want to see him get right back in the ring either. And, you got Deontay, you also, he could use the time. It's like he was granted a couple, it'll be probably around 3 months before things get back rolling. That's extra time that he had to take off. Mm-hmm. You got other fighters. Some fighters have, after they fight, they have hand issues. And they don't you tell them to lay off the hand and stay out of it. They don't do it. They don't listen. They want to get right back to it. So some people are forced to take the time off, and they may have needed it. I know one of my guys, he needed the time off, Yeah. He don't want to hear it when I tell him to take the time off, but certain things have to heal. So, you could take some good out of it.
Okay. Hey, I want to ask everybody else, please chime in. Coach, I'm so sorry. Coach Julius, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, brother, can you please chime in on that? Because I know I saw a post today. You said as long as this is going on, you will be training people. Even if that means outside your garage, man.
Right, but to piggyback off of what you said and Coach Muhammad, I agree both of you guys as far as Wilder. But I think it's the ego thing that's, he got to check his ego, but his ego won't let him do that. So that's why he want to take that fight. Mm-hmm. And
well, what not just Wilder, but what about Spence? Because they saying Spence can get back in there, but you and I both know if you eject out of what type of car was it? Ferrari? I don't know what it was. It was a fast car, but you get ejected, and you mean tell me he ain't got no trauma? I'm not trying to believe that, man.
Yeah, with him, I think long as he, take a fight with somebody out of the top 15, he'll be all right. But he definitely shouldn't jump in there with somebody in the top 10, top 5. Just take a tune-up fight, and and I think as a trainer, they should, base it off of what they seeing in sparring too. If it's the old Spence of old, then maybe everything okay. But if they notice anything in sparring, then for sure they should, take a little bit more time off.
Coach P, no, go ahead, Coach Hamza. Go ahead.
Yeah, they would definitely. I know he was saying, and they were definitely talking about him jumping right back in with a Pacquiao or Danny Garcia or somebody at that level. You know, he wasn't talking about no warm up fight. So you're right. He goes right along with Wilder. He benefits from this time off. And like you said, Coach, those egos, man, you can't. It's hard to check those egos and egos and millions of dollars on top of it. It's hard to check that. So, like I said, they being forced to take the time off. It'll benefit them. Now you got some of the younger guys.
Okay, all right. Well, we got the boxers' ego. Well, what about the coaches' egos? Because they have a lot of coaches out there that got egos. Coach Pete, can you chime in on that?
Hell yeah, a lot of them. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of gyms and stuff in Philly is not closed. You know, one of the things I'd like to ask gentlemen is, you know, if you've been following the virus, the coronavirus, then you are very aware that it is the minorities, that's us, that is losing the battle. Okay, this is not something I'm making up. This is actual statistics. Look at the statistics. Look and see, you know, what's happening. You know, the disproportionate is us that's dying from this virus. There is no sport where you are up close and in boxing. Now, the hardest thing for me to do was to let them shut my gym down. I love boxing. I'm there day and night. I love working with my athletes and stuff. But the other thing is my love for my athletes means I'm going to do everything I can to protect them, okay? And based on what I know about this virus and how I know it's transmitted and it travels, the sport that definitely puts it on a high level is boxing, because we are so close and we're right in each other's face. And, you know, it's very difficult to do this distancing. Even if you're working with the athlete, you can't be distant from them.
Right.
Now, you two guys, the other two coaches, you're a little younger than me. You know, I'm in the age range that, you know, is more at risk. But even given that, you know, I'm more concerned of what I might pass on to some of them, because it doesn't matter if young people are dying from it just as well as the older people are dying from it. And I think that as coaches, you know, we're serious about, you know, protecting our athletes, as well as also trying to protect ourselves. And there's no way for me to go in the gym and know which of my athletes, you know, might have the virus, because they're out there, they're with other families and with other friends. You don't know who will bring it in at what time, whatever. I mean, I just think that, you know, I knew that there were gyms open and a lot of coaches, and I've tried to get them to think about, give their athlete, you can do. I deal with my athletes daily on my Instagram page. You know, I put up training sessions for them. I do talks to motivate them.
Such as what? Such as what? Such as what, Coach? Such as what?
Talks?
Yeah,
or what kind of training?
Or what type of training, yeah. You know, what type of things when it comes to training?
Okay, so what I do is I'll set up based on 7 days out of a week, I set my training up. Monday through Friday, this work, okay? As far as my running goes, 4 days out of the week, we do a little bit of distance, no more than and then the other 3 days are speed work, and we're doing 100-yard dashes. They're doing 100-yard evens. They're doing, they may be doing 200s, whatever. That's what they're going to be doing. Then they're going to come in. I have certain days that I have them do weight training, show and tell from like the old days when I was in school, where you would come and show and tell something. I have to show how I want them to do it and how I want the exercise to be done. The nice thing with technology, I'm able to do that. I can get on the iPad and record it and show them exactly what I want them to do, how I want them to do it. And I give them the sets, I give them the weights, I give them how I want them to gradually move up. And then I advance. I go from maybe weight training to using bands. Then I do footwork drills. I do different types of shadow boxing with dumbbells. I put together a training program, what I do with them. And, you know, and then I talk to them, they call me, they text me, you know, if they have questions, if there's concerns, you know, so we're actually stiff because one, they're afraid that once this ends and we come back, they know that I'm going to be going forward. It's not going to be, I'm going back to give you an opportunity to catch up. No, son, you better have kept up with me.
Right.
Okay? Because when I get back to the gym, okay, I'm jumping in it with both feet. I hope you're ready. If not, you're going to be in a world of trouble.
Right. This is a time where you're going to see the real versus the fake. I think this is a great time because, like Coach Hamza was saying, you know, I wanted to ask you that. Like, you got Stephen Fulton. He's on the cusp. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep him busy in order for him to get to the next level. I was going to say, this glitch right now, hopefully it's not that long, but like, what you got to do to keep him inspired? You dig what I'm saying? Go ahead, Coach.
All right. Yeah, I feel like the physical part isn't the hard part. It's that mental part, you know, keeping them inspired and motivated. It's no timeline with this thing, so it's hard to say, like, it's good, man. We'll be right back in end of April, or we'll be right back middle of May. You can't say. You know, he was going to be fighting for a title around May. So, you know, those things pushed back. It's definitely a hindrance. Yeah. But like I said, everybody is on hold. So, you know, everybody figure if it's a 3-month thing, if whatever fights were scheduled in May, you know, it'd just be 3 months out. So,
hopefully,
you know, yeah, hopefully, hopefully, you know. So if a person, and you got the financial aspect too, you know, guys that are living, you know, from their boxing paychecks, it's gonna be hard for them, you know.
You know what? Just add on to that, and I want to get to you, James, and I want to get to you, Julius, as well. But I talked to Austin Trout last week, and Austin Trout said this really put a glitch in his system because he owns a ATM service, and all his ATMs he lends out to the casinos, but the casinos are shut down. So he's stuck with that. You know, he's stuck with that. But then also he had a plan to retire within the next year and a half, 2 years. That's going to be pushed back probably 3 years now. Julius, brother, how has this been when it comes to? I know you're still getting yours in, but how has this been when you know when it comes to your fighters and when it comes to your clients on the other spectrum?
Well, as far as I would say the professional fighters, for me, it gives me the opportunity to see what type of fighter I'm working with. Are they self-motivated to get out and do base training, maintenance training, road work on their own? Because I can't work more than the fighter. So if I got to be there or constantly, you know, give a phone call to get them to do that, it kind of let me know who I'm dealing with at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But as far as everyday people that I train, I still do that, but I just try to limit, like, not having a big group of people, and then focus on maintaining, making sure I'm sanitize, machines down, bags down before I train somebody else. But, and a lot of the circuit fighters or fighters, like I had one of the pro fighters was supposed to have his first pro fight, but now he forced to, go get a job, and that's going to affect his training, which he still should get a job anyway, because the people on the bottom of the pyramid, they're not making a lot of money. Only very few is going to reach the top of the pyramid and make money to where this right here is not affecting them. It's really affecting the people on the bottom. The people on the top, they may be affected, like Tyson Fury. He had momentum going after, the fight with Wilder. So it might slow down his momentum, but financial side of it, he fine. It's just the lower ones that's going to really affect. Now they're forced to go get a job, and then that's going to affect them, the training going forward with them.
I was reading that a lot of professional fighters probably will not be able to come back after this ordeal because they're just not going to be able to. It's either going to be feast or famine. It's either going to be feed your family, yourself, or live out that dream. James, brother, how is that on the MMA side, man? Because I've been hearing, Dana White wants to do this with UFC and stuff. He wants to put on this fight, but then I guess they stopped that. He wanted to go to a Rhode Island, but they stopped that. How is it going to be? Like Coach Peak said, in boxing, combat sports, we share the same space, really, really tight. How is that on the mat, brother? I mean, how is that going to be?
Yeah. Well, time will only tell, but yeah, boxing and MMA, and we do boxing in my academy too. So it's, it's the same bucket of barrels or whatever you want to say, bucket of whatever. It's the same family, I think it's going to be tough for us for sure. But, Coach Julius, I was digging what you were saying about the self-motivating thing, because I tend to be very self-motivated, and I always look for that in my athletes and, my teammates. And I look to inspire that at least, right? And for me, this whole, I get to fight in May, I was digging it, because even though I was in isolation, I was abiding by the recommendations of staying away, besides just my immediate family members. I felt like I had an edge on my opponent who was not necessarily going to be doing that, So I think the guys that wind up having to stop for the most part right now are going to be those guys that are not self-motivated. So I think we're going to really see the guys that are really dedicated in any combat sport, in any sport in general. This is going to be not much of a hiccup for them. I would like to be, think positively about that. And, maybe a lot of people will find themselves. I think we tend to be entertained by too many external things in our life, whether that's, the internet or phones or whatever, TV. And I think a lot of the stuff that we're entertained by is going to become monotonous right now. We're going to have to find new avenues to better ourselves or to entertain ourselves, right? And I think the people that can find things to entertain themselves that are going to better themselves as an athlete are really going to rise up right now. So I'm hoping that everything turns around real quick. I don't have too much more fights in me. I kind of made an agreement with my wife. I'm 39 that, I probably won't be fighting in my 40s unless I get some big opportunities. So I'm staying diligent with my training, and I'm really hoping that I get to crack at somebody that, is doing the same as soon as this is over.
You want to chime? Hey, I'm gonna let her chime in, because she's my wife and she's the executive chief in command. My wife, my wife, Mrs. Coach Stokes, she's a holistic health coach, and she wants to chime in and she wants to talk when it comes to the coronavirus and stuff like that. Everybody, this is Mrs. Coach Stokes. Can you get in? All right, she's coming in right now.
So, hold on a second.
You want to come over here? Come over here. Just come over here.
So, hi everybody.
Hi.
I think one of the most important things right now with this COVID, and I just saw an opportunity to interject because we have like an opportune moment to really build and develop some old school characteristics, some old school schools of thought with these younger athletes. I'm the same age as you, James, and one of the things that we have in our generation that I see very little of is drive and grit and perseverance and accountability and really going for what you want, because we've become such a microwave society. Things have become so convenient. You have people that post up programs, learn to box in 30 days, lose 92 pounds in 90 days, there's no work and patience and work through behind the result. And I really think that this time off right now is an opportunity for coaches to instill some of those old school traits, those old school values in their students, to let them know, look, you cannot blame this virus on your inability to be consistent, because you're not sick. You can get out, you can run, you can jump rope, you can practice in the mirror, you can do things to keep yourself sharpened as a fighter. Because there is, I told my husband, during this time, the fat is gonna start to rise to the top, because people are gonna fall out, coaches and athletes, not just athletes, because some coaches only coach because it's convenient. It's not a passion, it's money, it's income, and as soon as the door's shut, they're done. Some athletes only train because they're being looked at, they're being acknowledged, they're getting the views and the likes. They're not getting those views and likes no more. They're gonna stop training. They're gonna go to posting up silly videos on YouTube, because that's where they're getting their likes and their validation. But this is a great opportunity for coaches to instill those values in their students and really have them own in on that. Because one thing, I don't come from boxing, but I've been so fortunate to have my husband who, you know, he has a long history in boxing, and to know Coach Peak and to meet so many of you guys that are in the boxing world. The one thing that I've learned about boxing that is very different today than it was, let's say, back when my husband was growing up, there was a necessity for patience. You didn't join a gym and 2 months later you're competing in a show. You didn't learn how to throw a 10-piece combination in 2 weeks of starting the gym. You worked your jab for weeks or months at a time. You learned your footwork. You learned how to condition correctly. You learned these things to build you up, because I feel like combat sport is a beautiful metaphor for just life in general, because you do need to prepare. And one of the things that, you know, I teach my kids, and even things that I teach my clients, is our motto is stay ready so you don't have to worry about getting ready. We're not gonna start getting ready again when this is over. No, we stay ready. If you don't fight for a year, you get a phone call, an opportunity comes up, we're gonna be able to take that fight, because not only are you on weight, but you've been conditioning, you've been training, your mindset is right, and your mindset is you even have better mental fortitude, because you've been doing it when nobody was watching. You didn't get no belt, you didn't get no award, you didn't win no fight, but you stayed committed, you stayed patient, and you taught yourself how to get out of your slump. So when you didn't feel good, I gotta get up, I gotta run. Get up, Lanisha, you gotta get up and run. Who cares if you're not gonna see a client today? Get up and work out, you gotta get this in. So establishing those old school values. And the other thing about the virus, I wanna make sure that when we are talking about the virus, that we're talking about it in the right perspective, because a virus is not a living thing. This is not a bacterial infection. This is not like MRSA, where you can be rolling around on a mat and you can get it, and then you pick at it and then it overtakes your system. The virus requires a host. To be the perfect host, excuse my language, Coach Peak, but you have to have a shitty lifestyle or have an autoimmune disease, anything that's already compromising your immune system. So yes, working out, we already know. We know that we weaken our body to get stronger when we work out. So we know that working out compromises our immune system. But if your fighter if a person is drinking, hydrating their body, drinking their water like they need to, giving their body what it needs to do what it does, if they're resting, if they are working out and exercising, if they are changing their eating, even if it's just for a little while, to eat things that are more fresh, like vegetables and fruits, and less fried food and less pizza and Taco Bell and all these other things, you're going to automatically improve your environment of your body, which makes you a not so perfect host to contract this coronavirus 19. And then the other thing is the coronavirus, a cold is a type of coronavirus. And what happens when we get a cold? It affects all of this, our nose, our chest, we're coughing, we're doing all these things. You can die from a cold. So we don't want to instill fear when it comes to this COVID-19, because fear is what's going to kill people, because they get anxious. There's anxiety. What's going to happen? Am I going to have a job? Is my business going to close? All of these factors play into a person's immune system being weak. And so this is a great time for leaders, for coaches to step up at a whole different dimension when dealing with their athletes, to let them know, look, this is how you overcome these situations, because this is not going to be the last one. I was talking to my husband. We done been through bird flu, anthrax, SARS, everything else. We're here. So there's a lot of different things that we've had to figure out how to get through. So this is a great time to teach the athletes that boxing is a lifestyle. So if you want to be ready, make this your lifestyle. And this is a great time to do that, because there is a huge awareness about COVID-19, and they will be more susceptible to, you won't have to force your fighters to bring their water bottles to the gym. Water is important. It's a part of combating. It's a part of you being healthy. But all of these things that we're doing to stay healthy and to not be a good host for any kind of coronavirus are all the things that our athletes need to be doing as competitors. Everything.
Yep. Agreed.
So that's my spiel.
No. I agree. And I'm pretty sure I'll later hear from the panel, but I feel like all of it is fear mongering. Do you notice every time you turn on TV, so many people have died from the coronavirus? Well, what was the symptoms?
What was their pre-existing
condition?
What
was it? Because
how old were they?
I think they just marking and checking the box. Corona, just to scare us, man. I'm serious. I'm not saying it's not happening, but.
Right. And there are people right now. There was a young lady that went into emergency out of Philly that went in she wasn't feeling well.
Oh, yeah.
She got her test done. She got the corona test done. It came back negative. But on her discharge papers, it said diagnosis, COVID-19. But she was negative. So all of those different things, propaganda is very easy to inject. Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying this is a perfect time while your fighters, especially the young men and women, while their ears are open, if they'll listen, while their ears are open, listen. This is the same things you do to keep your body healthy right now is the same things you need to continue to do when this passes, because this is going to help it to where we're not sitting there waiting for you to weigh in at a fight. And I've seen this all summer long through Texas, everywhere we went to fight. Coaches stressed out because their fighters, they don't know if their fighter's going to make weight. How responsible is that? This is a lifestyle. We want them to always be ready. And this is a part of them always being ready, is keeping track of everything. So this is a good, opportune time for you coaches.
Anybody want to chime in on that? Anybody?
You got people muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach P. Go ahead. Anybody?
That's so true. I've been working with you and Steve, especially on the eating and keeping my boxers hydrated. Even when I post on Instagram for them, I'm still talking to them about eating, hydrating, doing those right things, and I mean, I can't control it, but, the ones that are self-motivated are going to do it. I already know. And I have some that are already doing and already staying there, and then others that are going to fall off. So, I mean, all I can do is continue to try to motivate and put the correct information out there for them, to do the things that they need to do. And like anything else, I try to lead by example.
Right.
Coach JP,
Yeah.
I know you work on both spectrums. I'm sorry. Coach JP not only works with boxers, but he works with MMA guys as well. I know he has a lot of guys he worked with over at AKA. And also, just let you guys know, he comes from a back line, boxing bloodline. He is the younger brother of world champion Gerald McClellan as well. So you guys know that. So JP, what can you say about on your experience when you come to that?
Well, I just want to piggyback on what you said about you got athletes because fights fell through. So then they kind of stop training, or you got coaches that stop coaching because maybe a door is getting closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, then that's the athlete that I don't want to work with anyway. You know, if they was doing it because as an athlete and a coach, then they're doing it for the wrong reason. If an athlete don't want to train because a fight got canceled, because now he's looking at it like, well, I'm not going to make any money, so I'm going to stop training. He was doing it for the wrong reason. If a coach don't want to coach anymore because doors got closed, you know, he was doing it for the wrong reason. So I wouldn't want my kid underneath that coach's tutelage, and I wouldn't want that athlete that don't want to train because the fight got canceled. So if they drop out, then I really wouldn't care, because those type of athletes and type of coaches are doing it for the wrong reasons. You know, this is something that you should do, you know, if you're passionate about it. You know, yeah, we all want to make money, but that shouldn't be the deciding factor. You know.
I want to jump lanes. Did you guys see that fight with it was a female fight. It happened about a month ago. Franchon
Cruz?
Yeah, when she fought the Hispanic female that popped on Peds, the big female. I can't think of it. Do you know what I'm talking about, Coach Hamza? Yeah, she I was wondering, because in boxing and combat sports, if you look at Peds is
Jimenez, I think her name was.
Jimenez, exactly, Jimenez. But you look in boxing and combat sports, they don't look at pads as closely as they do when it comes to baseball and football. You got guys like Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, who may never, ever get into the Hall of Fame just because speculation. But you take somebody like Virgil Hill. Virgil Hill was a Olympic silver medalist, you know, world champion. He is in the Boxing Hall of Fame today as we speak. Why aren't we taking this more seriously when it comes to combat sports?
They consider Canelo to be one of the best, and you know, and how many times have he been caught for cheating? I don't.
Facts. Right.
I think the person, he's a great fighter, but when we talk about the all-time greats, I automatically cancel him out, because I don't know, if you cheated, you done. You're done. I don't care how good you look, how many world titles you get, how much money you make. You're not in my. When I speak of the greats, you're not one of the greats if you got caught cheating. Numerous times, you know, things happen. You know, there are different issues when a guy might get caught one time, and it, you know, a person can argue their point either way. Oh, it was the meat, or it was this, or it was that. Okay, if it was one time, that's one thing. But to get caught numerous times, and then people, you don't hear, you rarely hear people talk about his cheating. So. They definitely don't look at that as closely in boxing like they do with the other sports.
Coach JP, you gonna say something?
Yeah, they looking at the money he generates, and they sort of overlooking it. But if it was, I mean, I think if it was anybody else, they would have suspended him and everything else. But they just looking at the money he generate.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand that aspect. Like you said, he would have been out of here if he was one of these lower level guys. He would have been out of here. And I understand, you know, the business aspect of the boxing. You know, so that's not going to stop. They're going to keep him where he is. But you know, when we have these discussions and we talk about Hall of Fame and these type of things, that's the only time that issue can't come up. You know.
So it always goes back to the dollar amount. If you putting people in seats, it don't matter. Like Adrian Broner. I mean, Adrian Broner, he's always gonna have people that's gonna come see him. Anybody else want to chime in? James?
Yeah, I mean, I think I started, you know, doing MMA when like everybody was juicing except me. So, you know, I've got nothing but you know, resentment for a lot of the guys that I fought that were probably on steroids. So
what's the coach? What is the culture difference between, you know, MMA and boxing? I know it's different, but what's the culture difference that you've seen?
Like the coaching different?
Culture.
Oh, culture. I mean, shoot, man. I think that, you know, if you're not dipping in the candy jar, people seeing that or not suspecting you, then you're kind of out of the loop. So I can't really say, because, I mean, I've never really experienced anything when it comes to being offered steroids or seeing guys be open about it. You know, I think a lot of guys are ashamed that take them, and they act like, you know, they don't take them. They make it very clear, like to make it clear, loud about it, right? Instead of just kind of being quiet about it, they're loud. I've seen multiple guys with that, but you know, I think the culture just in sports in general is that people look down on it. So the athletes aren't going to be open about it. You know, I lived in Arizona for, you know, a good amount of my childhood and into college, and before I moved to California. But, you know, there's a lot of people there that just go over across the border to Mexico and get it. And people will be open, you know, at the gym about that. But that's a different, you know, this is the gym, you know, it's not like, and I'm talking about like a lifting gym, like a 24-hour fitness or something. You know, I've only heard people talk about it, but in fighting world, I haven't heard nothing, you know, but you just see you can see the cosmetics of the guys fighting, you know, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, even compared to some of the guys now, you know. Yeah, but obviously the martial artist way, being honest, being virtuous, is, you know, not to use that stuff and to condone it. And I agree with you guys. It takes away from their eligibility for being the greatest of all time or a champion or whatever you want to say.
Okay. I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, this with what's going on in boxing. I saw a video of Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd was saying that he wants to, you know, get into training, in the coaching. You know, what do you guys think about that? When I saw on the pads, he looked very comfortable. He looked at home.
He has a. I mean, that's Floyd Mayweather. His IQ and his knowledge is exceptional. We know that. You know, how is he as a teacher? How is he with communicating? How is his patience? You know, to all the coaches here, we've been coaching before there was money involved. You know, taking these kids as 9 and 10-year-olds to these different amateur tournaments, and, you know, taking the bumps and the bruises, you know, watching your kids cry over a loss that they really won, you know, all these different things. And that all builds us up as coaches. You know, it's just like these coaches that jump right in with a professional fighter and they never have trained amateurs or children. There's something missing in that process. So, you know, Floyd Mayweather, if he starts training, I saw him, you know, hitting the pads with look like some beginners, kids. I think it was one was his son, one was like his nephew. They probably like 14, 15 years old. If he's going to start there and start taking them kids out to tournaments and doing those type of things, then, I mean, I don't see why he couldn't become a great coach. But if he's going to skip all those steps, he'll end up just like some of these other trainers that are missing something.
I want to know, will he run across anybody that's even good enough for him, the way that he feels? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to be good enough? We can't do that as coaches. You know what I'm saying? Because you got some cats, like I was telling Coach Pete, I've been on teams with guys where you look at it and be like, man, this dude cannot fight. He look like he's scared of his shadow. But when he get in that ring and that bell turn on, he'll kill it. He'll kill it. You know what I'm saying? And then you got other guys, you see him, you be like, man, this dude look like he's straight out of the penitentiary, but can't fight a lick.
That goes with that patience, man. Will he have that patience? You know, is he going to look at everybody like they should be as good as him? Will he get frustrated when they can't do the things that he can do, that he could do when he was 15, 16? Man, when I was 15, 16 years old, this was nothing. You know, I was doing this and I was doing that. He going to have guys, you know, he going to have, I mean, you got to say 90-some% of the guys that he will work with won't have those abilities that he had, you know. It's just that patience.
Yeah. You want to say something, Coach Pete?
Yeah, Steve, I agree with Coach. You know, Coach, you were right on target with that. I mean, he can't skip the steps. And, you know, yes, Mayweather's a great fighter and everything. And you see coaches that have fought and they were great, but they can't transition. They don't seem able to make that transition to becoming a coach, because like Coach was saying, they miss a lot of those steps, and you can't miss those steps. And, you know, when I look at coaches and, you know, determine whether or not they're a good coach, you know, I look at, can you develop somebody from the ground up? I see too many coaches that will take other fighters, boxers, when they're already developed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they'll take them,
Yes.
and they'll beat on their chest and say, yeah, I did this and that, when they didn't do anything. When another coach took that same athlete from age 8 and took him all the way to where, you know, he could become great. And then they go to somebody else, or they have to transition over to somebody else. And this coach has never brought anybody from the ground up. A great coach to me is somebody who can take a piece of clay and mold it into something great, make it something fabulous. You know, can make a you know, face or whatever out of it that becomes, you know, beautiful and will stand the test of time. That's a good coach to me. That's what I look to see, and acknowledge. Not somebody who I know for a fact, you know, can't take an 8-year-old and develop them and take them all over and, you know, hold their hand and bring them up. So, you know, if Mayweather can make the transition, if he can hit all the steps, then yes, he can become a great coach as well. But time will tell.
Not only that, everybody, but I feel like in order to be a coach, it's some of the most humbling experience you can ever possibly, you know, get into, man, because being an athlete is all about the athlete. But when you are a coach, you got to be giving, man. I mean, this is a relationship. You got kids that look forward to talking to you, seeing you, coming to that gym. You know, they look at you higher in regards than their own parents. I hate to say that. Yeah. I want to say this, man. When it comes to being a coach, man, if Floyd cannot, he has a great amount of knowledge, but if he's not able to listen or to continue learning, he's not going to be a good coach. For you to be a great coach, you got to be able to learn every day. I learn from everybody, to 100-year-old man to my 9-year-old son. Every day, I'm taught something every day. And I know you coaches can respect. Yes, Julius, please.
The panel was saying, you know, we all know he was a great fighter, right? But if he's doing it for the wrong reasons, then it is not going to work. And then everybody can't do the shoulder roll. So, you know, you can't teach that same move to every kid to come in the gym. You know, so, you know, you can't mold everybody to say, I want you to just, you know, shoulder roll, get in the Philly shell. Everybody can't do that, you know. And then if a kid come into the gym that don't know anything, are you willing to work with that kid? Or you want to hand pick the kids you want to work with? Because if you want to hand pick the kids you work with, you know, it's not going to work. You know, kids look good and some kids going to make you look bad, but you win together, you lose together.
Right.
You know, to lose with those kids as well. You know, not look at it like I'm Mayweather. So if I go to this tournament, if we don't win, it wasn't a success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Will he be scared to lose? You know, I see a lot of these fights.
Say that again, Hamza. Will he be what?
Will he be scared to lose?
Yes.
You know, as a coach, you know, will he be scared to lose? And like he just said, we all gonna have those kids, you know, that we have one kid, he's a killer. And we got another kid that it seems like every time we go to the tournament, he can't get a break or he's always losing. But we don't stop training that kid. We keep pushing.
Yep.
You know, he may get his day, he may not. But us not coaching him is not going to be the cause for that. You know, I know some of these YouTube kids that, you know, they got a lot of not YouTube or Instagram, whatever. They got a whole lot of followers, and they always on there hitting the pads and doing this and doing that, but they don't hardly fight. But they don't fight because they're afraid that if they lose, they'll lose some of their following. So they rather not fight or pick and choose, you know, little club shows where they know they can beat somebody rather than going out to the tournaments and things like that because they're scared to lose. And they feel like if they lose, they'll lose their following. And, you know, Floyd Mayweather, he's going to get, just think of how much, if he takes a kid and the kid takes a kid out to a tournament, to a fight, and the kid loses bad, it's going to be all over everything, you know, all over social media and everything. Oh, Floyd Mayweather fighter got his ass kicked. He got this, he got that. Can Floyd handle that? I don't think he could. I don't think he can.
Right. I remember we went to a fight up in at the Adirondacks, Coach. I don't know if you remember. Mike Tyson was there, Kevin Rooney was there, and they had their little squad there. Hey, everybody wanted to fight one of Mike Tyson kids or Kevin Rooney fighters just to say that I bodied them. I deaded them. Simple as that. Because during that time, everybody was trying to fight like Mike. Everybody can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And everybody, they always getting spanked. They always getting spanked. Every last one.
Coach Nazem, he we were out in 2012. We were out at the reload. I think it was in Colorado Springs or somewhere. But he called me and he asked me to work the corner for Shane Mosley Jr.
Uh-huh.
Shane Mosley Jr. ain't hardly have. He only had a few fights. He was like barely turned open class, but he went out to he wasn't nothing, you know, he looked like his dad, but in the ring, he wasn't his father. He's gotten a lot better. But man, if you see the look in these kids' eyes that knew they were fighting Shane Mosley Jr., like, it's hard on Shane Mosley Jr. too, because everybody fought him like they were fighting his father.
Yeah.
They brought, I mean, if they weren't planning on bringing it that night, they brought their A game that night, you know. So that's the kind of stuff they're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah. James, did you have anything to say? I look like you wanted to say something, James.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys, some of the things you guys said about patience, Coach Hamza. I mean, that's huge for a coach. You know, I think it's too easy to want to instill what you want to instill on your guy instead of, you know, be patient and see what tactics you should be applying to them, right? Instead of just having a blanket template for everybody. And on top of that, having the patience of once you establish a game plan or a skill that you're trying to show this kid or this individual, and it's not coming to fruition, that you're getting frustrated with it. I've seen that with myself, you know, trying to coach people. And, you know, I used to coach a lot of group kickboxing classes at one of my MMA gyms. And I had almost this, like, ego to my coaching style, and it was unintentional, but it was the intention was to instill intensity and, like, hey, let's work hard, guys. But really, I caught myself a couple times where it was like, I'm like, these people are, like, just here to work out or have fun and sweat, and I'm in my own head, I'm like demanding this and that of them, and if they don't do that, I'm judging them silently in my own head, you know. And it's I think, you know, I caught myself, you know, real early in my coaching career doing that, and I'm glad I did, because I could see that manifesting into something much greater. And instead of me quietly making comments about somebody, me doing it to them out loud in front of everybody, you know. And I think it's easy as a fighter and as a coach to do that, because there's a certain makeup that you have to be a fighter, and that killer instinct and that confrontational maybe personality is willing to come out. You know, but you need to kind of, like, be calm with it, you know, and kind of put that in the back burner and have that patience. So I was digging that. And then, you know, Coach P she was making a point. I'm losing my train of thought here. She was making a point about shoot, I can't remember. It was something good though. It was fire.
It'll come back.
I was going to chime in on that, and I lost it. Yeah, but I mean, I think that, you know, being a coach is a whole different dimension to you developing yourself as a person. I think as a fighter, you do that, right? And then some of that overlaps being into the coach. And a lot of people think that it's just going to mesh real well, and it doesn't. There is some overlap there, but it's you have to redefine yourself and come from a different perspective and do what's best for your athlete.
Hey, Coach Julius, I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, what about the judges, though? I mean, just say, are they going to be starstruck to side with Mayweather's fighter? You know, they fighter, you know, if it's a close fight, are we going to get the Mayweather fighters because they're starstruck? You know, and kids need to realize just because Mayweather's a great fighter don't mean he's going to be a great trainer, and they need to go where they're a priority and not, oh, this is Mayweather, let me try to go here, where a coach down the street will invest more into that kid, but they run down here because it's Mayweather.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to say about you, Coach P. So Coach P was talking about developing athletes, right? Like building them opposed to like recruiting, you could say, right? And I was going to give a little shout out to my people. I got family from Philadelphia, so my mom was born there. But shout out to Pennsylvania, because we see now in Division I wrestling, we see Coach Cale Sanderson at Penn State, and they've won the last 6 out of 7 years. Well, Penn State doesn't really have many NCAA titles besides that. But if you look at the history books, Pennsylvania, if we look at all the NCAA champs for the last 100 years, whatever it would be, right? Most of them, or the majority of them, the winner of the state that builds these NCAA champs is Pennsylvania. But then you get to the college level, and before recently, they weren't winning any NCAA titles. So it came down to other states were not better at building; they were better at recruiting. But now we're seeing the unison of those two things with Penn State. They're building it. Pennsylvania's developed that culture to build these athletes, but now they're actually getting them in college. So that's what I wanted to chime in on there. So,
hey, everybody, I'm loving what's going on, and I got to invite you guys on to my my next roundtable. Is past the moment. It's past over an hour, but I want to conclude with one last question, and this is my wrap-up question. If you could inherit the style of any professional boxer, past or present, who would it be and why? Coach Hamza, you go first.
Oh man, that's a big one on the way out.
Anybody?
I'm gonna go a little flashy. I'm gonna go Purnell.
Yes.
I feel like you can always make things happen when you ain't getting hit. So
that's right.
And wow. He was a great defensive fighter. He also had some pop, and he had the flash and pizzazz. I go with Purnell.
And he had killer instinct too. Okay, Coach Julius, who'd you say?
I'm gonna go with my brother Gerald first, and then I'm gonna go with Sugar Ray Leonard. Boxer, puncher, charisma. You know, he kind of, for me, was like the Michael Jordan of boxing. I mean, every race loved him.
What'd you say, Coach Hamza?
That's some of the prettiest footwork, man.
Yeah, Ray definitely was a poster child. Coach, what do you got to say, big dog? Terry. I'm sorry, you didn't hear me. I said, what did you guys say?
Yeah, it cut out for a second. So I'm going to go with my first favorite fighter ever, besides Mike Tyson. Like, come on, we all got to go with Mike Tyson. Was Prince Nazim. So movement, baby, was on point. And then, but I got to go with my boy Deontay Wilder with the punching power. I think everybody, if we could have that God-given ability to have that death touch, I think that's something to be celebrated,
Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Coach Peak, who you got?
Norfolk, Virginia, Purnell Whitaker country, and I got to go with Purnell because I'm a defensive coach, and I always tell my fighters, my motto is get in, do damage, get out before damage can be done to you. I do not believe in getting hit. I don't like to get hit. Purnell, you know, was the epitome of defense. His movements were sweet. Upper body, his footwork was smooth too. He could make a cat miss. And we all know that when you throw and you don't hit something, you know, that tires you out. You know, that leaves you vulnerable so that, you know, I can pick you off. And that's always been my motto coming up. And some of that had to do with the fact that being female and having to fight guys and not having any women during that time, you know, I had to be proficient in defense. So Pernell Whitaker would be my guy.
All right, well, I got two. I got one for the males and one for the females. My male is going to be Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, you talking about the epitome of boxing, one of the greatest. I mean, the number of fights he had, he didn't duck nobody. I mean, he won. When he lost, but he came back. Sugar Ray Robinson. And when it came to women, I'm going to have to go with Ann Wolfe, man. Ann Wolfe was a dog.
Yes.
Wolfe was a dog, straight up. So, you know, everybody, I really appreciate the time. Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm thinking about even changing the name because somebody has sparked the name for it. You know, I really feel like this is the gatekeepers. We all are gatekeepers when it comes to training and teaching people. You know, back in the day, it would have been like, oh, okay, then yeah, you know, you're coaching boxing, you're teaching person how to take care of themselves. In today's society, you don't know what the hell is going to go on. You don't know who you're walking up against. In today's environment, in today's climate, everybody is trained in some form or fashion. So I feel like, you know, after this day, it ain't gonna be called Coach Stokes Roundtable. It's gonna be called the Gatekeepers. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, everybody from Philadelphia, you know, out here in California, everybody on the East Coast, New Jersey, Coach Peak, Coach Hamza, you know, Coach Julius. Terry, everybody, and Buddy Lee, everybody. I appreciate the time. Check out everybody on the bottom of the page. That way you can see what's going on. You can run into the social media handles, and then also, I got one more question. No, I sent that in. Yeah, everybody, send me your link, so that I can send you a t-shirt personally, because I want to send you everybody a t-shirt, okay?
Sure.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks.
No problem. James, I still ain't forgot about you, man. You got to come down so you can show me some moves, man. And then I'll also do some boxing with you, for real. I've been having this wild notion. I wanted to be a blue belt for the longest, just in jiu-jitsu, just to say I have a blue belt. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and do that, James, and get bought up for at least a year, man.
Yeah, buddy. Hell yeah. Yeah, that'd be great, Coach.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. But this is Coach Stokes, and we out.
Thank you, guys.
All right, baby.
Thank you, guys.
Be safe, y'all. Be safe.
Everybody
Stay safe. Thank you.
Be safe. Be safe.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you, Hamza.
All right,
Terry.
man.